Welcome to the show. My guest tonight, Jessie Dans.
Hello.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Can try. I'm Jessie Dans. I'm a 23-year-old artist here from Calgary, Alberta, originally from Saskatoon, smaller town. Working on getting an album out here soon. So got invited to come on the pod and thought I'd give everyone a little bit more information on it.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely, anytime.
So, how did you get started?
In music in general? Honestly, I've been surrounded by music my whole life. My dad is a very avid musician. He inspires, I would say, like majority of my music. I think he was playing music to me like in the womb. Put me in like every lesson possible, from piano to vocal lessons. I think at one point I was playing the cello even. But I just grew up in a very like musical environment with him, and he was always playing the guitar and writing music. He's very much like a poet, and having a dad like that, it very much just like pushed me to start writing and start doing that stuff. So he was the main driving force, I would say, in my childhood at least.
So how long have you been pursuing it as a career?
I think it would have been last September I put out my first song, or maybe it was February. It's all a blur, honestly. But it's been about a year and a half now where I started like doing it professionally kind of, or trying to. And it's a grind. I think that the idea of being an independent artist sounds really flashy and really fun until you're actually in it. Mm-hmm. And then you're sitting there and you're working like 70-hour weeks at jobs that you don't actually want to do. And you're so tired, but you got to go finish this album.
Yeah.
Now. And so it is definitely like a give and take of like trying not to burn out, but also trying to stay happy and follow your dreams. So I guess about a year ago it started, and I just loved it. Being in the studio is like, it's kind of like a little puzzle. That's how I always describe it to people that aren't musically inclined. When you're in the studio, it's like putting all the pieces together until finally you get the big picture. So,
what are your survival jobs? They call them
survival
your other jobs.
Yeah, survival. You know, and I actually love my survival jobs. I love kids.
Yeah.
And so I work with 2 little boys. I'm a nanny for them about 3-4 days a week, every week. They are like the light of my life. You don't realize how mundane life is until you live with kids, and like the little things are so fun for them. You know, we go on walks and they're like, Jessie, like a bug. And I'm like, yeah. And, you know, it kind of keeps me very grounded. I don't think that I could be pursuing what I'm doing without having them, even though they're just 2 and 4. And some days I could live without it, but they're amazing. And then I also serve in the evening. I work at a restaurant, and that's, you know, quick cash.
Yeah.
And the quick cash is really good because it can, if I got a bill to pay, you know, do 2 or 3 shifts and I'm good. So it's kind of like, that's my security blanket, serving. And then I would say that nannying is like, that's the main income right now.
Yeah.
Music's bringing in a little, but not enough where I could say I can like leave the others yet.
I know how it is.
Yeah. Anyone with a dream.
Yeah.
You know?
The grind.
Unless you're a Nepo baby, like you're going to have to put your head down and go for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have 2 kind of very different lives between music and your other
Oh yeah.
jobs?
Very, very much so. Like I am like cutting cucumbers into stars and strawberries into triangles. And then I'm in the studio like writing about how badly I want this man to come over at 3 a.m. with my producer. And, you know, it is like I live a double life. And it's funny because I don't like ever post online about my other life, you know, like where I am taking care of kids, where I am like with my friends serving. And there's a huge community in that industry where we're all friends and we all hang out. But I'm pushing like my business, I would almost call it, like my career, so much online that no one really knows about it.
Yeah.
And I'm 2 completely different people when I'm performing and when I'm writing. There's like a lot of confidence there. There's a lot of passion. When I'm working with kids, there's like a lot of empathy and there's a lot of like maternal instincts. I'm 2 very different people, just all bundled together.
Does it ever seep into your writing or anything?
I think, honestly, it's like, as someone who's like, I'm very maternal, very empathetic. And so I think that if I go to the studio after a day with the kids where they were like super cute, I'm going to probably write a pretty happy song. Mm-hmm. You know, if they were in timeout all day and they were like little assholes, I'm probably going to come in there and write something that I'm kind of pissed off. I think emotions travel, like whatever you're doing throughout the day, doesn't matter the job, doesn't matter the activity, but it definitely makes me like a softer human. My writing, I think any artist can agree to this, that like your writing is a complete reflection of like your environment and mental state. And the kids bring me like a lot of peace and a lot of happiness. And so for the first time in my life, I'm actually writing music for an album that I haven't even said that I'm dropping yet. That's like really happy. You know, I've never written that kind of music. It was a lot of like heartbreak, death to ego for like my first however many years writing music, just because normally there's something traumatizing that kind of sparks that in somebody.
Yeah. It works for Taylor Swift. Everything is heartbreak.
And Taylor Swift has a cult. Yeah. If I can mass a cult like Taylor Swift, I did something right.
I had a question about your writing. Mm-hmm. Do you write the lyrics first or the song first? How do you go about that?
I can do either. You know, I have a little keyboard, and I find that if I ever get hit with like a wave of like a very strong emotion, I'll go to the keyboard and I'll usually find a sound that like resonates with that emotion. The other day, I was just having a shit day, and I was really sad, and I just went there and like I just found chords that worked together that sounded absolutely heartbreaking. And then a lot of the time I won't even write about like what is directly affecting me, but it'll just be something that happened that got me to that spot. So like the other day I wrote about how I was still upset that I have to block this person because I can't be in contact with them. So I just wrote a song about it. But I find that my writing style is like, it can be from the piano, it can be you give me a beat and I'll write over it too. And I think that some people are very like set on the way that they write, and others can just like do it anyway.
Do you have an artist that inspires you that people wouldn't expect? Maybe a different genre or something?
Yeah, you know, I think I have a couple. I listen to a lot of artists that aren't super big. Mm-hmm. I love like going on Spotify radio and like finding songs from people that have like 20,000 monthly listeners, because there's like some amazing songs in there. Amelia Moore, she's an incredible lyricist, and like you can hear when someone makes music like art, in my opinion. And I think she does that. And another person that like a vocally that I think is so amazing is Lady Gaga. And I think people don't understand until you really try and sing her songs. Mm-hmm. Her vocal range and her talent is like insane. Like I sound like a rat trying to sing her songs sometimes, and she can just bust it out and go on to the next. And I think it comes with time too. But Lady Gaga, Amelia Moore, and Marky Bassey, he has a sound that I really like, and I've been listening to him for a lot of years. He'd be someone that dream person to work with for sure. Yeah.
I secretly really like Lady Gaga.
I think it shouldn't be a secret.
A lot though.
She's cool. She's cool. I watched her documentary, and like
watching her live is
she's
sick.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like she just has untouched like raw vocal talent, mm-hmm. and such a small little gal.
Yeah.
She's just a little girl. She's got a powerhouse in her.
Do you like her acting?
You know what? I plead the fifth.
Good, because she might see this.
I hope one day she does, actually.
Me too.
Yeah.
Really badly.
If she does, call me.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I like her acting. A Star is Born.
She was good. I think she's good. I couldn't say anything bad about her. Wouldn't say she's my favorite actor, but I think it's because I'm biased because I love her music so much.
Would you try acting?
I think so. You know, I feel like a lot of the entertainment industry, it kind of all works together coherently. And so, like, I feel like if there was ever the opportunity, I totally would. I think I'm a pretty good actor, honestly. Like,
I'm a terrible actor.
Yeah?
At making reels.
Not good?
Sometimes 60 tries.
And you know what? And the 61 is the one that's good. And that's okay.
I'm just a nervous mess. But how are you with that? Like, when you're on stage?
It's funny. I like when I was a child, I was incredibly anxious. My entire childhood was filled with like panic. And my parents, bless their hearts, they're amazing. I could not ask for better parents, and they helped me a lot through that. But as an adult, I am like the opposite of anxious. I'm so chill.
Nice.
And I don't know, I kind of just go with the flow. But to this day, no matter when I get on stage, my brain isn't nervous, but my body unconsciously becomes nervous. And I think it just stems a lot from like, as a kid and as a teenager in high school, you just want to fit in, right? Like you just want to be like everybody else. And I wanted to be that for so long. And then you're sitting on stage with all these lights on you, and you're trying to be someone completely in the spotlight, completely different than anybody else. And it like goes against your nature. Mm-hmm. And so my brain's like, no, you got this, girl, like don't stress. But my body will shake uncontrollably.
Is it different when people you know are there versus not?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the relationship I have with the person. Like some of my close friends, I have my one close friend, Rachel. We have done a lot of the work on this album together. She'll be in the crowd and she's like a Facebook mom, like with her phone, and she's just behind the phone just beaming. And every time I like feel like a little bit of nerves, like I'll look to her. Or my best friend Alex, I'll look to Alex and she's singing along. She knows the words to every single one of my unreleased songs. Because they're like my biggest fans. My best friends are my biggest fans and they're my team. And so having those support systems when I'm on stage, if I ever feel that like, holy shit, like I want to throw up, I just look to them and then I'm good. But there is definitely when I know people, but I don't know them well. And, you know, they're kind of coming to like, oh, let's see what she can do. And then I'm like, oh my God. Or someone that you know and you don't really want there. Had that happen once or twice. There was a few songs about him. And I was just like, why are you here? Why are you here?
So did you have nerves at that time or you
Totally.
just kind of pissed?
A little bit of both. I was kind of like, what are you doing? Like, why? How did you figure this out?
Did you overperform like better than usual?
I think I actually underperformed.
Oh.
For sure I underperformed.
It's too bad.
Because I was just so stressed and I was just like, what the hell? Like, saw his car outside and I was like, oh, like this is PTSD for me right now.
Yeah.
Wish him the best, but don't come to another one of my shows.
I really like what you've done branding yourself.
Thank you.
It's like you just were created all of a sudden, this persona.
Yeah. Well, I work with a producer in LA and I have a lot of artist friends in LA. It's funny, you go to LA and you like meet people that are so famous and they're just regular people, you know, and I've become friends with them. And one of the things that I took out of all the good and bad experiences of going down to California was that you need to be a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to be a story that someone wants to follow. You know, like I don't have like a grew up in poverty and had the most traumatizing childhood and came out and started making beautiful art. I had such a healthy childhood, amazing parents. We were just totally comfortable. They did everything for me, had amazing friends, an amazing sister. Like I was raised and given the best opportunities that I could. And so I don't have the, you know, sob story that they want on like the big reality shows and stuff.
Like on The Voice, every single time.
Everyone's got a sob story.
Yeah.
Someone's parents died, someone, you know, like there's always something. And if they asked me, I would be like, I don't know, I can't eat gluten or dairy. Like that would be my sob story. And so I had to kind of create this character. And I think that you see it a lot with mainstream artists like Tate McRae. She calls her stage name like Tatiana. You know, like when you're on stage, she's a different person. Lady Gaga is a completely different person than I think Stephanie is her real name when she's on stage. You have to become a character for people to follow because everyone loves to live a life that's not theirs. And, you know, I post all this content and it's literally just me editing off my phone, all of it. But I'm creating this person who isn't really me, you know? Like if you come and sit down with me versus if you're looking at my Instagram, I will be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's giving people something to follow so that eventually one day, instead of posting content that is only directed to my music, they want to follow me for my life and what I'm doing with it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the base of kind of our marketing plan. Rachel, like I said, she does a lot of my marketing. She's brilliant. She has a degree in it and we just became friends serving together and kind of never left each other's side.
Yeah.
And she has done so much for me. And I think as an independent artist, the one thing I can say is just like surround yourself with people that want you to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's that. Anyways, rambling, but.
No, it's good. And I just love it. Because normally I have people on the show, they're way more established and I can just Google a whole
thing on them. Yeah.
Your marketing worked. I think.
Thank you.
You've got it.
Thank you.
It's really good. Have you ever posted something that you felt was like a big risk and then it worked or didn't maybe?
Yeah, I think I will say that like my Instagram, at least, like not that I have a mass following, but what I do have does not come from my music. That came from a time when I was doing like more modeling work and was doing a lot of social media. And so my like niche and the viewers that I have right now really probably don't care about my music, you know? And so I think that it was a risk just to take that account and just say like, I'm doing music now fully because I got rid of everything else that like wasn't relevant to it. And so I think for some of like the posts, especially for the album, like none of it was super risky. But there are some things that are a little bit more, you know, like maybe I don't want my mom looking at that all the time. But you know what? It's not the shitty part, but the truth is that like sex sells.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not one to say that in any way you should sexualize yourself, but like my posts that are doing the best are the one with my song Flaunt It, where we look good. We look really good. And the song is more of like a sexualized song. And that's just the way it goes. And I think with anyone working in marketing, working in the industry, working in media, like that's just the truth that everyone knows. And so it's a risk to do that because I think that it sometimes can take away from your credibility as an artist. You know, like you see most artists start out by posting ballads. They start out by posting things that are heartfelt because they want to be recognized for their art first. You know, they get to a point where then it becomes sexual. It becomes something that can be desired by not just like women and heartbroken men. It's now just men. Like, not that Tate McRae did that, but she's become like a sex symbol as well. Same with Lady Gaga did it. Dua Lipa did it, where they started to use their bodies to market as well. And I'm all for it. I say, go get it, go do it. But I think it is a risk sometimes because I think it can diminish your credibility as an artist.
Mm-hmm. It's part of the game.
It's part of the game, and it's just how you use it.
Yeah, and sometimes when it happens later, people say, you know, they sold out or whatever.
Yep.
At least if you just own it.
Honestly, if I ever get to the point where I'm selling out arenas, and I hope I can look back on this and be like, I actually am doing that. But put me in a skin-tight bodysuit. I don't care. Put me in it and let me strut around. You know, if it makes the seats fill up, so be it. So be it. I think that everyone's so like, oh, she did this, she did that. Okay. And the person down the street did this. You know, we're all going to do something where not everyone's going to like it. And at the end of the day, if you're having a good time, you're having a good time.
Do you have advice for artists or anyone who have trouble promoting themselves?
I think just make it a priority. You know, like speaking from like experience, it had to be like a choice. You know, like I had started doing music however long ago, a year and a half ago, and I wasn't really posting that much. You kind of have to do the self-work to be confident enough to post it. Like for a long time, I didn't want to post things of me singing because I'm like, oh, I either don't sound good or I don't look good in this. Then there came a point where I'm like, I'm not really trying to sell like how good I sing in this one thing or how good I look in this. I'm trying to sell like what I can create. And so it's honestly, it starts with like self-confidence. And secondly, it starts with discipline and like prioritizing it. I mean, with how much I work, like I was multitasking. I put the kids down for a nap and I'm editing the reels that I have to post that day. And you have to want it, you know? When I first started, I kind of thought everything would get handed to me. As someone who grew up not like overly given things by any means, but was able to accomplish things with somewhat ease, it was like a shock to the system where I was like, oh my God, I got to put my head down here. Like if I really love doing this, I really want to do this, I have to do it for only me. And as soon as you want something for only you and it's not dependent on what other people think, you work a lot harder because it's kind of like your well-being, you know? So that's my take on it. It's just, you have to want it. And you got to find, honestly, I use ChatGPT all the time.
Me too.
You got to find ways, quick ways, ChatGPT, CapCut, use the presets, like just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm ChatGPTing hashtags for my reels. And then I say, make it in a list that I can copy and paste because I'm not copying all these. You got to just make it easy as you can for yourself.
Yeah. You know what? If somebody doesn't use those tools or if you don't, somebody else is using it and they'll be ahead of you. So
someone will always be doing better. And I think instead of like being like, oh, they're doing so much better, like, what are they doing different than me? And take it and run because maybe you can do it better than them.
It's so crazy how I still hear you calling me baby, even though you've never set a foot in this home. And maybe if I cried, my tears could paint your eyes, and these four walls might feel a little less wide. This bed's so cold, can't even feel my toes. No skin to warm my soul. The freezing feeling of being alone.
So what was something like a challenge or something that nobody warned you about when you first got into music?
I think like the burnout that comes with it. You know, like when I started making music, it was, it's just all exciting. It's new, it's fun. And now I've probably listened to the songs in my album over 1,000 times. And I hear them and I'm just like, make it stop. And I think it's the burnout with like that. Like I never thought there'd be a point where everyone's like, well, do you listen to your own music? I'm like, absolutely not. I'll listen to it when I'm working and in the studio and like when I'm editing something. But until I'm like working on the song and only working on that song, I'm not listening to it outside really. I'll listen to my ideas and my demos and try and write them more. But your brain just gets like so, like your auditory processing gets so blurred when you listen to something over and over and over. And I give sound engineers and producers so much credit for that because their ears don't burn out. And mine do. And because I'm always looking for like the next best sound. Or I'll have a track that's done and I'll be listening to it and I'm like, oh, I could have done that better. And then I'll go and change it and the entire song's changed. So it's that like, it's the self-doubt that comes with that. That's one thing that I was never warned about is when I listen to the songs that I'm about to drop in my album now, I'm like, I have so much better work, but I still have to put this out. And I have to trust that like, even though in my ears this isn't what I want anymore, it still might be for somebody.
Yeah, it's still someone's first time hearing it.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to trust that. And holy shit, it's hard. Like I might take 1 or 2 songs off the album that I don't like and replace them at this point.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes.
Probably the earlier ones you'd want to.
Yeah.
But they're good. I told you, one was stuck in my head. I didn't even know where it was from.
That's the best compliment.
I listened to it a couple times because I was having you on the show, and then it was stuck in my head, and I couldn't think where it was from. And then I remembered.
love that. Well, you know what? I was I've been in like talking to a few record labels and stuff, and I want to stay independent for right now. But when they were telling me, they were talking to me, and they're like, you know, like when you hear a song on the radio, like one of the hit songs, are you thinking about what they're saying, or are you thinking about the melody? Like, you know, when I think about like a hit song that was on the radio, I could hum you it 100%. I could hum the melody. I probably couldn't tell you all the words, you know? And I think as like an artist, that's where it differs between like songwriter and artist is like, I've had a few people tell me, they're like, your songs are stuck in my head. And it's because I really focus on the melody. I really focus on the hook. Something that's catchy. And if it hits my ears right, I know it's going to hit another person's ears right. So I'll sit in that studio and I will like make sure that down to like every single synth, every single percussion, like it's just the right sound to fit. And it just catches. And that's like my trick of the trade is focus on the melody, you know? That might change as I continue through music though.
How many people are involved in creating an album?
A lot. It's like a big old group. Everyone, I've done a few like interviews with labels and other podcasts and they've been like, who's your team? And I'm like, my team? Like, what do you mean my team? And I'm like, my team is like my friends. And it's kind of, I feel like how a lot of independent artists start. Like it obviously starts with my producer here, my producer in LA. I work with a producer in Dubai right now too. Or not Dubai, moving to Dubai. He's in Egypt right now. Amazing guy. And so those are the 3 people that I create with. And then there's my live band where I have all those musicians. I have a guitar player, I'm talking to a drummer right now. I have a piano player. They all help me with my album. They'll all track things for me. Then I have Rachel who does my marketing and my managing. I have a makeup artist, my hairstylist. She's done it for shoots. I have a videographer, photographer. And then I have the people that like keep me from breaking down when I'm so tired, which do the most work. And that's like my best friend, Alex, back home. We moved from Saskatchewan together, no jobs, just for like, we need to do more. She's living her life. She's so happy and we still live together. And she does the most clean up work because I come home and I'm so burnt out and she's just like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm just like, and I'm crying. And so, you know, it really takes a village and I didn't believe that statement until I was living in it.
So when did you move here?
Would have been almost 3 years ago now. I guess 3 years in September. Yeah, because we lived at our old place for 2 years. We live in a new place now. And I went to school for a semester, dropped out. She did school for, I think, 1.5 years, dropped out. And we became best friends just kind of on a whim. We went to high school together, never talked, and then met up again outside of high school. Probably have not spent like a single day apart since then. Like we're best friends for the rest of our lives. And we both didn't really want to like be a nurse or a farmer, you know? Like it was like, we wanted to do something that had like a little bit more importance to it. And so we're like, let's move. Like we've outgrown our hometown. Let's go. She had no job. I was trying to secure a job at an engineering firm. Working that 9 to 5 made me want to put like literally a 9mm to my head. I will never do it again. And we just did it. But like, as long as we had each other, like we would be fine. And we knew that. So we just took that risk. And like, I knew I wanted to do music. She knew she wanted to do fitness and bodybuilding. And so it's like, put yourself in a place to achieve those goals. There weren't enough outlets and opportunities from where we were from.
I bet you would have been a good farmer though.
I would have been an amazing farmer.
Yeah.
Clean crops.
Really
good
tall.
crops. Really tall.
Yeah.
Can see over the Massey Ferguson tractor for sure. But I would have hated it.
So when was your first live show?
You know what? I did some back in Saskatoon. I'd always play with my dad.
Yeah.
My dad has bad stage fright. Now he does it all the time, but really bad stage fright. And so I remember like the first time we played together, he didn't do a ton of live shows then, but we were both super nervous. And now he does it all the time. Anyways, that was a sidebar. But first live shows were in Saskatoon, and here would have been, I think last year. Yeah. I think it would have been last year in like November or October. My dad actually came up and played with me. I didn't have someone to play the guitar, like to accompany me at the time. And so my dad made the trip up to do it. And it was just me and my dad up on stage singing, having a good time.
Would you sing with him in Saskatchewan?
Yeah. Yeah. We would do little shows like just at, pubs or whatever. And we did a little show at our farm. We just put on a little one and like just jamming and playing with my dad is, it fulfills that like child in me.
Yeah.
Because I know he loves it.
Your own music, or did you do covers?
Some of it, yeah. He's learned some of my songs. We did a lot of covers, though. We have a lot of songs that we've sung for a long time together. And he writes music and he puts music out. And so a lot of his originals too.
Nice.
So it's fun. It's always stressful because it's funny. I think because he's my dad, I'll look at him if he does something wrong and I'm like, Dad. And he's like, I'm trying. And I'm like, well, I'm trying. And so it's like, we don't always play the best together because we're so stressed about the other person being happy and proud.
What kind of music does he make?
I would say he makes like folk, kind of country music.
Mm-hmm.
He's been writing. He's an amazing writer. He's written journal entries to me since the day I was born until I was 18. Every single day. There's a whole bunch of journals I got to read. He is like, I cannot say enough good things about my dad. I tell this to all of my friends. Any new romantic interests, the first thing I bring up is my dad. Mm-hmm. Because he has been like, he is someone who's completely shaped me as a human and has made me look at life different and also like make my art the way that I make my art. Like he writes and he does that just solely because he loves it. He wrote me those journals just solely because he wanted to do it. He writes so many songs. He doesn't put them out because he loves to do it. And I think that like he, as a person, he would have loved to put his music out, to go on tour, but he had my sister and I. And so again, another big driving force is like, I want to do that for him. Mm-hmm. To be able to go on tour, to be able to put out my music and to have my dad like hear it and be so proud, at least from what I can take from my nannying and what I've heard people say is like, you can almost live vicariously through your children. And I feel that a lot with the kids when I see them get excited or they get like, he was a star at school the other day and I was just beaming. And I was like, why do I have these feelings? I'm like, it must be even stronger if it's your own kid. So to make my dad live that a little bit with me is a huge, huge thing for me.
Did you ever make any country music?
I actually have like probably like 4 or 5 songs that are country. Like I have half an EP because I was going to try the country route.
Yeah.
I have a really great voice for country, but I found it like my writing style just doesn't quite work. Like I can only write about whiskey and dirt roads so much. I write about like, and not to diminish the country artists at all. I think that you can write amazing songs, but it's such a niche genre that like it sounds very similar and the writing style is very similar. And sometimes my writing is completely off the walls.
If you ever do a tiny desk concert or something like that,
Yeah.
you can just throw in some of your country songs.
Absolutely. I think stripped back, a little acoustic demo.
So you've been in Calgary 3 years. Do you have like a a venue you want to play one day, a dream venue?
I think King Eddie's, I've been there for a few shows. I really like it there. And I think my dream would be like to play at the Palace. You know, like that's where I've gone for a lot of concerts for artists that I like.
Yeah.
I think when I get a secure band together and doing everything, like the next thing after I drop this album is to put out a few more singles. We're very much in a single culture in the industry. That's what's making people take off. But to go on tour, like even if it's, you know, a small tour, as in like I go to Vancouver and Toronto and just play at little dive bars, but with my band, like that is something that I think would be like the next step for me. And hopefully I can throw the Palace in there on the way.
It's going to be in there.
I hope so.
When you go to do karaoke, what do you like to sing?
Back to Black, Amy Winehouse.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my go-to. She's good. I love Amy.
Yeah, she's
Poor
really
gal.
good.
Poor gal. I won't go down that road, but
Yeah.
love to sing her stuff.
How do you feel about the music scene in Calgary?
I like it. I think that there's a lot of undiscovered talent. I've seen that as like, I'm not as involved in it as I would like to be. I think because of how much I work, you know, I'm very like tunnel vision on getting my work and my art out, that I don't get to like go and spend time with other artists that often. But from what I can see and what I have been around, there are some absolutely amazing artists. There's obviously a huge country scene here. And I think that's so fun. It's not my style, but if you dig a little deeper, there's actually a really, really cool like R&B and pop like group here. And I've met a few people through the grapevine and like just people where you listen to them and like you would have never guessed they're from Calgary, you know? Like they just have such a cool sound. They have such cool writing styles. And it's because like this isn't the city to blow up as a rapper. This isn't a city to blow up as an R&B artist. You know, you hear R&B artists, they're coming from Toronto. They're coming from Atlanta. You know, we're a lot more culture, a lot more of that is there. And here it's very much Cowboys and still farming. So that kind of takes off more so here.
Yeah, it's growing a lot though.
It is. And I think there's a lot of people really pushing to grow the industry here outside of just the country genre, which I love. I love to see it. And I am excited to be a part of it. So
what does making it look like to you?
I think having, you know, there's a humble answer to this question and there is an answer that is not so humble to this question. And I'm going to give you both. But the first one would be like having my music to where I can make a sustainable living off of it and where people resonate with it. Like I started making music out of a place of, you know, being uncomfortable or not understanding or pain, as every artist does. It has turned into something that's like obviously somewhat therapy to me, but people enjoy it. Like I get to bring joy to other people through it. And so to have, you know, I would say a community where I can live off of my art while providing joy to others. That's the humble answer.
Yeah.
And I think that they go hand in hand, the non-humble answer and the humble one. But the non-humble one is, you know, like I would love to tour globally. I would love to work with artists that, you know, I grew up listening to. I want to have enough money to buy a beautiful home. I want to have enough money to go and do whatever I want and then put out an album and then go tour the world again. And, you know, there's that superstar lifestyle that everyone dreams of. Whether or not it's attainable is totally up to whatever happens, but either one satisfies me, you know? And I think that's like, everybody wants that rock star lifestyle. And I think a lot of people do music because they want that so bad. I know I started because I wanted that so bad. And then when you fail enough times because you have the wrong end goal in mind, you kind of have to like take a little look inwards and be like, why am I really doing this? You know, I didn't make music for like 6 months last year because I was just like, I was going through the worst year of my life. And I just was like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. This isn't worth it. And then I'm like catching myself. I'm like so sad and depressed trying to figure my life out. I'm writing songs, you know? So just kind of went back to like what I knew. And I was like, okay, like I was writing this in bed, so confused and lost for me, not for anybody else. And so the non-humble answer, it's probably not for you. That's not going to satisfy you and your soul wholeheartedly. But the humble answer, I think, would be the main driving force. And that would be a beautiful cherry on top.
I think you can have both.
I think you can too. And I think that if you handle that kind of status and stuff in the right way, you know, I think they make a lot of the wrong people famous. And that's just the way the world works. You know, they're going to keep making the wrong people famous. And in no way am I saying I am the right person to make famous. I need to get some media training, big time. But there's definitely like a, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for? A stereotype.
Yeah.
Stereotype of people that are made famous, you know?
Do you have any goals that people wouldn't expect? Like a weird goal?
I think, I don't know, like maybe playing at Coachella or playing at the big festivals. I don't know if those would be considered weird goals.
Do you want to go back and play whatever the biggest place in Saskatchewan is?
You know what? I had someone ask me the other day and they were like, if you're ever touring and doing big things, would you want to go and play in your hometown? And hell yeah, I would love to. I would love to sell tickets to people that didn't like me in high school. And you know what? As maybe, you know, conceited as that sounds, it's I think it's just a testament to like how much work I put in to get there too. You know, and I would love to be able to show that, like, you know, whoever I was back in that town, which I'm not saying that I had a bad high school life or bad friends. I have amazing people there, an amazing friend group. But obviously when you're in a smaller town or a smaller place, there's stuff that goes on. There's things that are said, and it happens in anywhere that you live. But to go back and, like, you know, people didn't really know what I was doing with my life at all. Like everyone was going to school and I was kind of just like floating around like a bee, and I didn't really know what I was doing with my life. And so to have something work out and have something that, you know, I put a lot of effort into and be able to share that would be amazing. And I would love to play it. I think it's not the Scotiabank Center, because that's here, right?
Yeah.
Scotiabank Center's Sasktel Center.
Sasktel
Center in Saskatoon. Would love to sell it in an arena there. It'd be a great time. And I honestly don't think it would change whether it's there, Vancouver, or Toronto for me. Like, a show would be a show no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Tate at Cowboys last year.
Yeah.
She had a good time being back home.
You know what? And props to her, because I can imagine, as someone who wants to do that one day, that would be scary though. It's scary. And especially she grew up here.
I thought Cowboys was a pretty small, like, she could have sold out the Saddle Dome.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I think she probably will at one point.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll put it on a tour somewhere. I saw on her, I think she's on tour right now.
She skipped Calgary. Edmonton.
Oh, well, you know what? Honestly, if they want to do a hop, skip, and a jump over that bad, they can. You know?
I'm going to take a quick break.
Okay.
Okay, a quick break from the action and these ad reads I'm doing and editing and all that. Don't skip this though. I need your help. A small favor. Please subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, I do have a lot more listeners on Spotify and Apple and iHeartRadio, so subscribe on those too. But on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. It'll really help us out and keep the show going. Okay, let's get back to the deets. And we're back. Tell me about your album.
Yeah, so it's going to be an 8-song album. I wrote a track called Tom Ford that's out right now.
That's the one that was stuck in my head.
Oh, yeah. That one. So that one kind of stemmed the whole idea, because I wrote that song and put it out, and it got a lot of really positive feedback. And I had all these tracks, and I'm like, you know, I don't really want to just like put them all these singles out. And I realized that all of these songs that I had written were in chronological order of this relationship that I was in. Situation. We actually never dated. But like situation, whatever, this toxic 2-year back and forth that I was in. And when you listen to the songs in order, it kind of tells like the story of it. And so just having this in my toolbox, I was like, well, why don't I just make an album that cohesively like flows through a storyline? I love writing stories. I think majority of writers do. And so I realized that like once Tom Ford kind of blew up, well, not blew up, but did really well. And then I'm listening to all these things and hearing the story, and I'm like, I have to put this together as a bundle. You know, I could drop them all separately, and maybe that's a better idea. I don't know. I'm not an expert yet, but it just seemed like the right idea. And I had a lot of people really like the idea of it. You know, you hear some of like the big artists, like Metro, he did an album last year, maybe it was the year before, where not that all the songs connected, but the end of each track trailed into the next one. You know, if you give a listener something to keep looking for, they're more likely to keep listening. whether it's a story, whether it's a sound. And so I just played off of that. And it's almost done. We are so close to getting it finished. And then the last song on the album is Tom Ford again. I'm going to put it on the album. And the line in that song is that like people come into our lives for a reason or a season, and talks about like letting it go. And that just ties a nice little bow on it. That whole time period of my life, all that music, and just puts it out. So that's Tom Ford in a nutshell. I'm super, super, super excited to get some out. But
Are you going to sell physical copies?
I think so. I've been looking into it. Granted, physical copies really don't sell the same way they used to.
No. What about like a limited record just to sell to people?
Yeah. And you know what? I was talking to Rachel about that, and I think that it would be fun to have, even for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if
100 of them or something.
Yeah. And, you know, just put the investment down, and like I've applied for a few marketing grants, which will help out a lot with that. And with that, I think it'll be that. And also we're looking into merch, which is really funny because I never thought, you know, when I think about it, I'm like, I don't have that a massive following, you know, I'm under 100K, I'm under 20K, but she was like, we have to make merch.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how do I promote merch to like my friends and family that follow my Instagram? But we're probably going to do it. And
friends and family will buy it.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Love them for it. I'm going to need every dollar and dime for this next album, so please buy it.
What kind of merch?
We're thinking probably sweaters.
Yeah.
I am like as I show up to a podcast and a person I've never met in a hoodie and sweats, love sweaters, love hoodies. And I think there's a couple of really catchy lines and catchy, like catchphrases that I say throughout the album that I think we'd use. One of the songs called Flaunt It. I think we want to put that on a hoodie.
Nice.
Yeah. Things like that. And things that kind of just set it apart. Like, I think it'll be pretty mundane off the start. And then, you know, maybe if things start going really well or I start touring more, then we'd look into expanding whatever we could make.
I have mugs.
Maybe I should do mugs.
Those hoodies are a good idea.
I think hoodies. Hoodies is a no-brainer. Everyone wants a hoodie, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone wants a hoodie, but I don't know.
How do you describe your sound to anyone listening that hasn't heard?
I would say it's very like soul pop. A little ethereal. I love the, you know, like kind of a little bit more of a dreamy vibe to it. I love synths. I love the deep bass. I would say it's probably has the writing of more of an R&B artist, more of like a soul writer. I take a lot of inspiration also from jazz and older music. Amy Winehouse, Etta James, I love them. But what's selling right now is pop music.
Mm-hmm.
Pop music is selling, and so it was like the smartest move for me to put out a pop album or pop singles right now. Well, that's what is trending and climbing. But I think at least every artist's sound is, I think, constantly changing a little bit. Right now, it's very pop. It's very soul pop, ethereal. But the next album that I'm actually working on is a lot more jazz and R&B. And I think that one I'm really excited for because it's definitely more my style and has like a little bit more spice to it. A little less, you know, like radio tune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When is your album coming out?
It is at the end of September. So we're dropping 3 singles, one at the end of June, one at the end of July, and one at the end of August. And then we're dropping the album at the end of September. So we're just going to space it out, give a few little teaser songs, and then push the whole kahuna out right at the end.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's say you're back here in a year. Mm-hmm. What do you think you will have? Where do you think you'll be at? Where do you want to be at?
I think, you know what, and I'm going to say that where I think I'll be at and where I want to be is going to be the same thing. I'm going to just give myself that goal, but I think touring would be a huge one. Working on another album and doing music full time. You know, being able, like, when people are like, what do you do for work? Tell them that my base income comes from my art.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dream, that's the goal, and that's where I'll be in a year.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you promise you'll come back if you're super famous?
Absolutely. I would love to. I'll just come and pet the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pet the dogs, have a little... Actually, they don't even know what's in this mugs. They
Could
don't know
be anything.
Lean.
Could be tequila Vita.
Could be tequila, could be whiskey.
Yeah, that's it. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we covered it, and I appreciate you for bringing me on the show.
Thanks for coming.
On Calgary's famous late night show.
Thanks.
Love it.
Okay, that's it. I just take these off. It's over.
Amazing. And cut.